You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further than Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs. We offer custom laser engraving services for a variety of products, including promotional items and corporate or personal gifts. With state-of-the-art equipment and a team of skilled designers, we can engrave intricate designs on virtually any material. Whether it's a special message, a company logo, or a custom design, Romika Laser Engraving will help you make your mark. And the best part, our prices are affordable and our turnaround time is quick.
I couldn't be happier with the work Romika Laser Engraving did for me. The engraving on my product was precise and exactly what I wanted.
So don't wait any longer to add a personal touch to your products. Call Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs today at 817-400-4040 or visit our website at romikadesigns.com. We look forward to helping you make your mark.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Hey, travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
The voice of Johnson County, JoCo Community Radio.
All right, Johnson County, this is Mike Wilshire. I'm your host of the JoCo Voice. We are coming to you on January the 10th at 6:04 p.m. It is cold outside, but it's not as cold as it's about to get. It's 57 degrees right now. The low is going to be 35. The high was 67. And it's only going to drop from here. Thursday's 38, Friday's 31, the low in, so it'll be Tuesday now. They're voting or they're betting, they're hedging the bets that it's going to be 9 degrees on Tuesday. So be ready. Just any kind of hint of rain or humidity is going to cause all kinds of havoc. It always does in Texas. And I know they always talk about wrapping the pipes. I think like people just unwrap their pipes after it's over with. I'm like, what do they do? Mine stay It's always that way. It never goes away. All right. It wouldn't be Johnson County if we didn't talk about the hilarity of crime in Johnson County. We got to go straight to the blotter. Um, I can't make this stuff up, guys. On January the 9th, a caller advised a person who took his vehicle was threatening to beat him up. That's just the call. That's it. I don't even know. Like, how does dispatch write that on the CAD? They're like, man took car, threatens to beat owner up. And then the cop has to show up and respond and go, oh, wow, this is real, huh? Caller advised his friends and neighbors were yelling at them. Deputies responded, cleared with an information report. Caller advised his neighbor stole his rabbits. Oh, what the heck? Now, this one's pretty funny. Texas Health Mansfield called in a cat bite, and the patient was about to be discharged. The corporal met with the victim back at her residence and cleared with a report. See, that leaves like so much that I want to know. Were you poking the cat? Was it somebody else's cat and you wanted to pet it? Like, was it just some random animal that just walked up? And then this one is like so many stories, so many questions I have to ask. Deputy met with a male in reference to a $10,000 check that was stolen from his mailbox and cashed. How on earth do you have a $10,000 check come to your mailbox? Like, that is like FedEx. That is like person to person. You need to sign for that check. There, you have a bonded courier bring you a $10,000 check, right? Deputy and corporal responded to a 19-year-old male that was possibly intoxicated and hitting the vehicle with a metal pole. Deputies were still on scene at the dispatch shift change. Makes you wonder, like, did he think the car was talking to him? Was it in a bar fight with a car? You look just like the guy that took off with the girl that I was chasing after, right? All right, Johnson County, that's enough. I gotta get right to my guest because my guest is pertinent to the Johnson County area and to Tarrant County, obviously. I've got Megan Bond with Panther City Marketing in the studio with me. How you doing, Megan?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm doing great. Come closer to the microphone, just a
Okay.
little bit. Okay, yeah. So, Panther City Marketing. I found you through your commercials
Yeah.
that I mean, like you're
Running ads. You want to hire a marketing company who can market themselves. Would be
and
one of the first indications on whether or not they know what they're talking about.
and yours are, I mean, yours pop up like yours. I don't know how I got on the algorithm that led me to yours, but I liked one, and then so 5 or 6 are going to pop up with friends of mine, and then I've said that I was interviewing you. Friends of mine that are in marketing, people that I know that are in sales, are like, I'm going to tune in. I might, I have a couple of business owners that have come on the show
Yeah.
and talked to me, and so hopefully, if anyone's listening in, you can call in on the number 817-637-2585, or you can just post a comment, and I promise we will try to answer any questions that you have. So, first and foremost, most of what you deal with are individuals, right? That are trying to market themselves, or do you get
Yeah.
large corporations? What's the
No.
majority of your business?
I have worked with very large corporations and I hated it. It's not what I like. It's not what I want to do. So all of my clients are going to be local to the DFW area and they're going to be small businesses. So I always work directly with the owner. For those local small businesses, they like someone who understands the area. They know what it's like here. And then they have someone, if we need to sit down in the same room, we need to talk about things, answer questions, get to know you. They want someone they can trust. And having that local person where you can meet them face to face is something that just my clients really resonate with.
And Panther City Marketing, that's you whenever
Yeah.
I message.
Yeah.
Whenever I mean, and that's a big deal. I have a friend, Keith Fromm owns Custom Sheds by Keith. Whenever I called his business to talk to him before I'd ever even met the guy, I wanted to talk to somebody directly.
Mhm.
I called the number that was on the Facebook post that
Yeah.
was there, and the individual that answered the phone, Shannon, his lead guy, answered the phone and said, "Yeah, let me get you in touch with the owner. He'll want to talk to you."
Mhm.
And that's a big deal for me. So when you're dealing local business, local owner, local client's going to call in, going to talk to somebody, they're talking directly to you
Mhm.
on Panther City Marketing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then from there, you and your staff facilitate what's the needs
Yeah,
me.
yeah. So I'll be the direct point of contact for the clients from the initial conversation. I'm the one who answers the phone all the way through anything else. So we will usually have an initial phone call. I'm that main point of contact. I know everything that's going on in their account. And then you can call, email, text me. So I get a lot of texts from clients. They're busy people, they're running businesses, they have other things to do.
Mhm.
They don't want to deal with marketing, they don't have the time to deal with it. That's why they hire me. So with that, they'll shoot me a text and say, "Hey, Megan, I need you to update this photo on my website," or "This is wrong," or "Hey, can we look at this?" And they know that I'm there. I'm the owner. I'm that primary point of contact. And then I'll work with my team to build everything else out. But that way I make sure we're coordinating across all of the different marketing strategies that we're doing, that everything works together and works well.
And and what portion of, so you're talking about individual businesses, and this is kind of a hard question to ask, but maybe you have the answer. What portion of a business should budget themselves off of what they're making for marketing? Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Does that make
No, that's a
sense?
great question
If
because
you make $100 off of something, you should set a little bit aside to try to market yourself somewhere else. And I don't know what that amount is, but I would think.
Yeah. So a good rule of thumb, and it varies wildly, a good rule of thumb is going to be 10% of your budget.
Okay.
Now, what I do is when we're doing intro calls, I want to talk to you and I want to know, how much are you selling? What is your close percentage? What is your margin? Right. So
Mhm.
marketing, I have a higher margin business. So I'm willing to pay more to acquire a client because one, it's higher margin. And then two, I have residual income. So we have what we call MRR, monthly recurring revenue, which is that goal. You bring the client in and then you get that money month over month over month, and then they stay for years. So that's going to be very lucrative for you. And so those are the things that I want to look at whenever I'm working with someone. I recently made a TikTok about a sales that came in. We did the sales call and I told the client, I was like, "No, I'm not going to work with you," because he was limited. It was just him. And he did, I think it was photo booth rentals for weddings,
Mhm.
which, you're really, or other events, and you're really only going to do photo booth rentals, maybe one weekday and then maybe one every Saturday and maybe one every Sunday. So essentially, he was just not going to get enough revenue to cover the cost of the ad spend. So what we would be looking at is he'd max out if he booked out, say, two a week and then, two each weekend, like a 3 times return on his ad spend. So for
Right.
every $1 he only gets $3 back, which is pretty low. So those are the things that we look at, and that varies by business as well.
Right. And it's funny because business is a very broad term.
Yeah.
I try to explain to people, if you, so if you're a bull rider, a professional bull rider, and uh that is your business, and you go out and you go and ride in all these championships, you get money, you earn so much per year, you're bringing in a certain amount. But hey, what do you want to do? You want to earn money when you're off the bull.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to go to places. You're going to have to sign autographs. You're going to have to kiss babies. You're going to have to sell coloring books. You're going to
Mhm.
have different things that you can do to market yourself. And, Gene Simmons is not a rich man because he played for Kiss. Gene
Mhm.
Simmons is a rich man because he owns the merchandising
Mhm.
for Kiss. He's way richer than all
Yeah.
the other people from Kiss because he owns the merchandising for it. And I try to explain to everybody, it's the whole, I told you on the phone, it's whole who gives a crap about what you're selling, what you're
Mhm.
doing kind of thing. And I guess my point is, you can't market something that's not there.
No, you can't market something that's not there. But as far as a business, if I could do it over again and start a different business, I would choose the unsexiest business I could go find.
Oh, yeah.
I would choose like pest control, something like that.
Right.
So it has to be there. It has to be something people are looking for, but it doesn't necessarily have to be something sexy,
Right.
which is what people want to do.
My coworkers and I always joke that if we had it to do all over again, we'd be like welders
Yeah.
or something like that,
Hmm.
because we would just be in the truck by ourselves, taking care of just ourselves, our money, what's coming in. And when I work, I get paid. And whenever I don't work, I don't get paid.
Hmm.
So it doesn't make me go to work, and just market yourself from there. Right. I mean,
Hmm.
it's whatever. It's funny that you say the unsexiest thing is what I would do, because a lot of people who reach out to me that want to come on my show are trying to market something that's sexy or something that's and I'm like, yeah, it's not going to work. We're not going to
Hmm.
be able to do that. I need to have somebody local to the business area. I need to have somebody who is local to somewhat local famous,
Yeah.
I mean, kind of thing. Bands, someone who's going to be performing, a bar, restaurants, things
Hmm.
like that. That's what I need
Yeah.
to come on the show, and not what you want to come on the show and promote type of thing. It's
Yeah.
and it's funny because people, I mean, just in the Johnny Depp trial, that whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing, were people who got YouTube famous
Hmm.
and made a ton of money off of just covering
Yeah.
that trial.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but the trial was what was interesting.
Hmm.
It's not you as a person. They gave you good cannon fodder.
But they stood out enough to make a difference among
Oh,
everybody else who was covering it. They
oh,
did
absolutely.
something.
Absolutely. I saw a girl would post what her dad says during the trial. He's retired, and he would come around the corner and say something random. And that was her post that she would do on TikTok. Things dad says during the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial type thing. So, and you run into a lot of startups, I guess I would
Hmm.
say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So startups, going back to the budget question, your 10% is going to be a little bit different because 10% of zero isn't going to help you grow very quickly. But startups, I do love working with startups. You have to get a little bit more inventive with what you do sometimes.
mhm.
So with them, I tend to do a lot more like consulting, helping them figure out what is their marketing strategy going to be and helping them come up with an implementation plan of like, okay, this is who we need to go after. This is the platforms you need to be on. This is how you do it. But then they don't have the budget, but they have the manpower because when you start a business, you have little revenue, but a lot of your time. So they then take that and then they do their time and create things on their own from the marketing plan that we put together.
And I mean, how do you feel about celestial celestial radio? Like, how do you feel about FM radio and marketing with them and putting commercials on it versus going the more modern way of internet, TikTok? What do you think is going to do better
I think there's
for?
still a place for it. I honestly know nothing about like radio advertising. That's not my realm. My realm is purely digital. That's what I understand. That's what I know. If someone asked me to how to buy a billboard or place a radio ad, I would have no idea where to start.
Send them on to
Um,
someone else, huh?
yeah,
There's someone out
yeah.
there that's an expert, and you could probably Google that.
Yeah.
You know,
But whenever I'm driving around listening, doing anything, and I'm old school, my car doesn't have Bluetooth, so I listen to the radio a
hmm
lot. So
hmm
I know that
hmm
people do. I listen to what is the ad and does the ad make sense? So if it's a brand awareness ad, something where you just want people to know the name, you want them to know that jingle that's going to be stuck in your head,
hmm
then
hmm
that's where radio might make sense, especially if it's part of a larger campaign. Bringing awareness to concerts, right? So if you're advertising a country concert, then yes, an ad on the country music station is going to make a lot of sense.
Right.
But then some people will, if you're advertising a clothing brand on the radio, I can't see it, I can't feel it, I can't touch it, and I can't buy it
hmm
when I'm driving in my car. There's no follow up. No, how do I take action? What does that look like? What is my desired outcome? So in that instance, then no, radio doesn't make any sense.
Right. And a lot of the reason why I'm asking that is a lot of the people that I know now, more and more, I hear people tell me that they're listening to podcasts while they're going down the
Hmm.
road. They're listening to something else. I'm listening to blah blah, and I'm like, they're like, you never heard of him? And I'm like, I have no idea who that
Yeah.
is. So that person tells me right there, that person has no marketing whatsoever because
Hmm.
I'm someone listening to something all the time,
Yeah.
and you're telling me about the greatest podcast ever, and I've never heard this guy's name.
Hmm.
If it's not Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn or Tom Segura, like the big name ones I
Yeah.
know of, and if there's another one that's local to the area that I mean I really want to listen to or something, that's the one
Yeah.
that I want to get into, kind of thing. What do you recommend for somebody who's coming to meet with you the first time or calling you for the first time? What do they need to have set aside? I mean, what's their outline? What would you have them put down? What are the
Well,
things
what
that
do
you're
I
going to
wish
ask?
they have, or what do they typically have? Because those are two
Let's do with
very
what they
different
typically have. Let's
answers.
start with what they typically
What they
have.
typically have is I have no idea what I want, but I want they want more money. That's what they know.
Okay.
They want more money, and the end of it usually is there. So it depends on what kind of business you have. So some people have never done marketing before, so they have no idea what it costs, what's involved, any of it. Some people have done a ton of marketing and they know what works, they know what doesn't work. They're looking to change firms. They're not seeing results with their existing firms, something like that. So come with an open mind, be inquisitive. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I had a sales call that I loved. I think it was earlier this week, and he had a whole list of questions that he wrote down, and they were fantastic questions, but he kept apologizing. I'm sorry for asking these questions. And I was like, no, this is great. These are really, really good questions for you to ask. I want to make sure that you understand everything and make an informed decision.
Right.
So come with questions if you do want to come. Most people don't. Most people have no idea what they should spend. They have no idea what it costs. They have no idea what they need to do. Less so now than what I used to see. People will come in with an idea of what they think that they need, and then that's not what they need. So people seem to be, back when I started in 2017, they weren't as educated on what works. So business owners seem to be more educated about what they need. So they usually have a better idea of like, I need a website, or, maybe I want SEO, and I can kind of guide them sometimes in a different direction depending on what they're looking at. But just that open mind and then making sure you can ask questions is the biggest thing.
Now, so I got to ask you this because I'm ex-military, and whenever you are ex-military, people tend to ask you, well, what's your favorite like military movie? What's your favorite? Well, mine's going to go a little bit different with you. Are you always marketing in your head?
Yes.
Like I'm always stand-up comedy. I'm always doing comedy in my head. Military is long since gone. Like there was a time where I was large and in charge and in shape and lean and mean and doing the military thing, but I'm always on comedy wise. And what I have to explain to people, I'm not trying to make you laugh. I'm more so trying to make me laugh. And that's what my goal is. So when you walk into a restaurant, let's just say you walk into a restaurant, are you already looking at angles and what you would do and how you would change things whenever you see a small business and someone doing something?
Yeah, restaurants typically, like, they have low margins. They don't have a lot of money. So I'm typically not looking at that if I'm going to a smaller restaurant. I will look at, their menus. Are they branded different? Do you have different colors on your happy hour menu versus your main menu? I do look at the design of that. Like, is it easy to read? Is it easy for me to find what I want? And I mean, I look at marketing, like billboards. Anytime we drive down the highway, I point out to my husband, I'm like, that billboard doesn't make any sense. That is a waste of your money. Cause it's too small. I can't read it. It doesn't make sense. I don't know what it's doing. It's not clear. The best use of a billboard money is if you own a fast food restaurant in the middle of nowhere and you're like, hey, exit, whatever.
Yeah.
Those worth every dime, right?
I've
penny.
followed off many exits whenever I was on the road doing stuff.
Even with smartphones now, I still think it's worth the
having
money.
the billboard up there for something. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what out there small business wise that you see like in a storefront or something like that that does have large margins that you would want them to market themselves more versus like you said, like a restaurant's like a slim to none. I mean, I don't really know how to look at it. Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Kind of. I'm going to answer a different question instead, kind of just like advice on how people can do something better. And it's about one of my pet peeves, which is QR codes. So QR codes have been around for forever. As a marketer, I've always loved them. They're great. People didn't know how to use them a long time ago. You had to have a separate app on your phone, which made them difficult to use. But the thought that you can just put it there, you don't have to type in your phone and go to a website was great. Now people have kind of gone a little bit too far with QR codes. Please never put a QR code on your website. There is no point to put a QR code on your website.
You're there.
You're either looking at it on your phone and you can go to it,
right,
or you're looking at it on your computer. You can go, there's no point of putting a QR code on your website, which I just see far too often.
Really? Is that a pet peeve?
It's a big pet peeve. QR codes where they don't make any sense or where they don't belong.
Right.
There was another one. It was a storefront. And this is what made me think of it when you asked that question. And they had their, like, a banner. I think they were working on their channel letter sign, but they had a banner up their banner had a QR code on it.
Right.
And it was like half of their banner. Like,
Right.
just make your name bigger, put your website. Like, why is that there? It doesn't make any sense to put a QR code. So just kind of think through, like, logically, like, how are people going to interact with this? How are they going to use it? Does it make sense? Is this the best real estate use of my sign that I could use?
Nice. Do you have people that come to you for advice, but end up telling you what they think you should do? And you're like, I've only been doing this since 2017 and I'm successful at it.
Yeah.
Thank God you came along. I mean, I would have folded tomorrow. Do you
I
get
know
that?
I had that this week, and it was another sales call with a guy. These ads are working, I'll tell you. And so I was talking about running Facebook ads, which is what I recommend to a lot of businesses. And when we run Facebook ads, we use lead forms. So it's right there. It's on Facebook. It automatically fills with your information. It takes 2 seconds to do. You submit the information. A lot of people don't want to fill out that form. And they'll go to my website instead. So they leave Facebook, they search me, they find me on Google, they go to my website, and then they get in touch, which to me, I'm like, that is a lot of extra steps. And so I was just saying, I'm like, I don't know why people don't just fill out the form. And he launches into this mansplain explanation of, well, people want trust and they want to know who they're working with and they want to understand that. And I'm like, well, yes, sir, I know that, but like,
Mansplaining.
it's so easy. Like, the form is there, it's right in front of you, and they go and they look everything up. And to me, I'm like, it's so simple. It's right there. Why aren't you doing it? And then he goes and he mansplains why people do it. And yes, I understand why people do it, but it doesn't mean that it makes any sense to me.
Oh, I love it. I love it whenever, like, my boss will read something on an email
Mhm.
and he's like, so he said, and you need to, and I think, and I'm like, yeah, he doesn't sound that way. That's not how he sounds. And so, like your significant other, my girl, she's like, oh, and I was like, I don't remember moving my arms that way. And I don't remember, and I love the whole mansplain thing. And, I always do it whenever I'm doing the female impersonation. I do it
Mhm.
with a lisp. And she's standing over there going, so I talk with a lisp now, huh? That's how I sound whenever I talk. I don't think I have a lisp, man. I don't think I have a lisp. I don't think it's there. Okay, so you get it too. People trying to explain to you what you're already aware of, but you're just like, I'll have somebody tell me what I need to put on the show.
Yeah.
You know who you need to have on the show next week? And I'm like, who? And they start telling me, and I'm like, well, I got to wait until after the topless donkey trainer and the midget clown perform. I've got to get their on Monday, and then on Tuesday I've got the midget clown, and they're what did you just say? And I was like, well, you're telling me what to put on my show. I already got some stuff on my show. That's what you put on your show? What you said what I need to put on my show. You watch it, right?
Yeah.
You listen to it, right? No, I haven't had a chance to catch it yet. Then why would you tell me what I need to do? Why would I go and
Yeah.
do
To
your strategy?
me, this was even better because he scheduled a call. He reached out to me for my marketing expert advice, and then he starts telling me the way to do it.
Right.
Like, okay, well, I don't think you need me then if you think
Right.
that you're more of an expert
Save
than
your
me.
nickel.
Yeah.
Right. It
Yeah.
goes underneath the pillow because you know what you're doing. You got this under control.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. I wonder if y'all run into that as much because I do it. So I have a daytime job,
Mhm.
and at my day job, someone will come up and tell me how to do something. And I'm like, thank God you're here. I did not know that. Can you show me? How do I well, y'all done it for me before. Yes, I was the one who did it. And I know how you want this done. I've been here long enough and worked with you once every week for the last, 72 weeks. I see you more than I see anyone else in my family. You know what I mean?
In their defense, I do find myself doing that to other people. I was doing it on a phone call, long story, but was talking with the game warden of Parker County
Mhm.
and was giving him, I was like, well, da 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 da, and here you go. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, you know how to do your job. You've
Yeah.
been doing this for a long
Yeah.
time. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yep, you're right.
Whoops.
You do not need little old me's
Yeah.
advice
Uh-oh.
to tell you how
Yeah.
to do your job.
And that stuff, it again, it happens. I mean, like it's with anything that you would possibly do, it could happen. But all right, so we are about a minute away. We're going to come back, and then I get to pick on you a little bit. We get to talk about marriage. We get to talk about dating
Oh,
prior to
gosh.
marriage. because you have to market yourself, right? You know, I mean,
Yes.
like we're going to give
Yeah.
some people some advice out there. I hear people talking. I hear people talking about stuff, and I'm like, I got the right personality on the radio with me, so that we can actually talk about some fun stuff and pick on and get into the nitty gritty of marketing yourself as well as,
Okay.
right? You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
The
that's
ultimate marketing, how to find the right spouse and not mess that up.
and
That's
you worked. I
yeah.
mean, you had your work cut out for you, didn't you? I mean, it was
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got stories, man. I love
I was in the wild for 7 years. Out in the
7 years.
wild.
You were like, I
Yeah.
had to put war paint
I
on.
did.
I had to go out
Yeah.
there and deal with what I had to do. All right, we'll be right back.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
You're listening to JoCo Community Radio.
And we're back. This is the JoCo Voice, and I'm your host, Mike Wilshire. I have Megan Bond in the studio with me. JoCo Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneInJoCo.com is the place to find all the ways to listen and watch. And the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more at JoCoCommunityRadio.com. This episode and more brought to you by the Next Level Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep at 844-TEX-HAIL. That's 844-839-4245. And be sure to dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com. The Tiffy, she's got the, I think it says no snaps, no. It's like a real cool, like it was up on the screen a minute ago, and I was like, I'll never remember it. Yeah, I don't know. It's like the no. She does like scarves and all that. Yeah, she does. I don't know. I'm a guy.
I've seen it. I remember. I haven't seen them in a long time. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to go search on thetiffy.com and go and take a look. All right. So speaking of commercials, let's plug your brand.
Yeah.
Plug everything Go ahead. It's
Okay.
Panther City Marketing.
Yeah. Howdy, y'all. I'm Megan Bond. I'm the owner of Panther City Marketing, previously MB Marketing. We're in the middle of a rebrand right now. So most people know me from MB Marketing, which is what I was since 2017. So we are a full service digital marketing agency. What that means is we can help with anything online. As you and I talked about before, I'm not going to help you with radio ads or billboards or anything like that. My wheelhouse is digital, and that's what I stick with, and that's what I know. So for the majority of my clients, what that's going to look like is website design, getting found on Google advertising through search engine optimization, which is organic or unpaid advertising, or Google ads, where you pay Google directly to be at the top of the search bar. And then also social media advertising. So running ads on Facebook and Instagram. We also do a lot of marketing automation, which is something that's very, very powerful that a lot of people don't really know to be asking for yet. So what marketing automation is basically going to be taking a lot of the marketing communications away from your team, away from you, freeing up your time so that you have more time to work on the rest of your business and not do as much on sales while still following up with people more often. Simpler versions of this are going to be, appointment reminders would be a very simple marketing automation, making sure people have it there, but it's evolved now. So, automatically understanding positive intent responses. So if someone has that appointment reminder, do you text back yes if they confirm? Making it seem more personable, less robotic. So that's a big one. So whenever I have appointment reminders, instead of saying your appointment is confirmed for Thursday at 3:30 p.m., I just say like, hey, I've got you down for Thursday at 3 p.m. Chat with you then. Making it seem more normal so that people don't realize that it's an automation and it has more of that personal touch. So marketing automation plays into a lot of what we do for our clients, helping them manage their schedule, helping them manage their time and be more efficient, which helps them to make more money. So that's the bulk of what we do. Now, who I work with, the majority of that, well, all of that actually is going to be local DFW
Right.
businesses. So it's going to be small business owners. I have worked with multinational billion-dollar companies and I hated it.
Right.
What I love, what my passion is working with those small business owners, working with people I can sit down with, chat, understand their business, watch their business grow over time, have that commonality of working together and knowing what we're able to do, understanding each other, because I'm also a small business owner.
Mhm.
So when you're talking and you're like, Megan, I know I need advertising, I know I need to grow, but I've got cash flow, I've got payroll. I get it. I also run ads. I also have cash flow problems. I also have payroll, right? You need to bring the money in. You need that money to run ads, but you're running the ads because you need the money. And it's this catch 22 that all of my clients are in. And I also understand because I've been there, I've lived it. I started from nothing. So I had to quit my job and start with $0, zero clients, no building it up on the side. So I understand the pressure. I have been through all of that the same way that my clients do. So I have that understanding, which is great and helps us and helps me help them better.
And so your brand
Mhm.
is that you
Yeah.
build other people.
Mhm.
And that's what Panther City Marketing, that's what you want it to be thought of
Yeah.
whenever somebody comes to
If
you.
I'm not making you money, you're not going to stick with me. I'm not doing my job.
Right. And you brought up something that I really I can remember this. So granted, college wasn't that long ago for me because I went to college after I got out of the service.
Mhm.
So I was like really old and at college in 2019. And I remember it was one of the professors was talking, and he was talking about how when someone post a like or they reach out on your page or they do something, where if you're a band, if you're a DJ, like, or a host of a show,
Mhm.
reaching out to them genuinely and saying, hey Megan, thanks for the post, glad you tuned into the show, tune in next week,
Mhm.
we're going to be giving out some prizes, or just showing someone that you gave a darn about them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like guys who are frontmen for bands and stuff jump off the stage and go take
Mhm.
a picture with someone and tell them, "Hey, post that to my,"
Mhm.
and then, "Hey, thanks for taking that picture with
Mhm.
me. I remember that. We were talking about blah
Yeah.
blah." Those little things add up to loyal fans, to
Mhm.
loyal followers, to loyal whatever it is that you have,
Yeah.
customers, repeat
Yeah.
business too. And I know that the last 3 cars that I bought prior to this last one I bought. The 3 before, I bought from the same guy. I
Mhm.
was not loyal to the brand of the car.
Mhm.
I was loyal to the salesperson.
Yeah.
And, I think people tend to you buy from what you know and you buy
Mhm.
from who you trust.
Who you trust. And
Right.
that's a big thing for people that I work with. They like that I'm local. They know me. They know they can trust me.
Mhm.
So there's that commonality there where we can speak the same language. I know I've lived here my whole life. So that trust factor is a big deal, especially in marketing. And I hate this, but there's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of people who don't know what they're doing. It doesn't take anything but the ability to go on GoDaddy and build a website to open up your own marketing shop, and you can file with the state for $300. Or I mean, I guess you don't even need to have an LLC. So anybody can just open a marketing company and they don't have to know what they're doing. But a lot of them, what they are is really good sales guys. So
Mhm.
they're great at taking your money, and then
And
they
that's
don't
it.
they don't give any results.
Nothing.
And so, I mean, so many people, they've been burned. They've hired marketing companies. They're talking to me because they want to believe it. But there's just people who like will run leads for someone and then go sell those same leads to their competitor.
Right.
So you're paying them money, and then somehow you're also giving your competitors the leads that you already paid for,
Right.
and things like that happen. Just so not even just not knowing what you're doing, but just shisty things that
Oh,
are
yeah. Oh, yeah.
unethical. And so having trust in someone in your marketing agency or whoever does your marketing is really, really important.
Right. I would rather do it myself than be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And then, I would rather go through someone reputable and pay more
Hmm.
than be taken advantage of for a small amount because it's still a large amount to me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my money that
Hmm.
you took from me. So,
And you have to get results, because that's another thing. I'm not the cheapest person out there. I know I'm not, because I do what gets results.
right.
I could take less money and do a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to move the bar, because there's also a lot of marketing companies out there where they can charge you $300 for SEO.
Mhm.
And what they found is that people will pay $300 and not really see results or not really be demanding. And so they just stay, in perpetuity because it's a lower price. But every single time I've ever talked to someone who's done those really low price services hasn't seen anything. One of them, I even reached out to the company because the client was transitioning over to me. And I was like, hey, can you give me an outline? What have you done? What activities have you performed? Can you show me some of your tracking and your analytics? And they're like, no, we don't have any of that. And I'm like, well, what have you been doing? My client's been paying you $400 a month for 2 years. What did you do?
Right.
And I can look at the analytics and I can tell that they haven't improved in rankings. They haven't done any of
They
that,
just took the
but
money.
they just took the money.
Right.
And
Right.
that one was like they offered a CPA software. And then they
Mhm.
figured out, well, it's really easy if they already buy this from us to sell SEO. And then they
Mhm.
outsourced that to another company. And that other company, they did not do anything. They literally just took the money, and they didn't ran. They just sat there. They just took the money and
I
sat
bet your brain
there.
weighs so much. I bet like whenever, they do the autopsy, they go and put it in the thing whenever it's going to be like a drop down and a big, I mean, you don't have a big head, but obviously
It's because it's
there's a
running
lot
all
of,
day. So the cardio keeps it skinny.
right, right, right. There's a mouse in there on the
Yeah.
wheel and sometimes he just falls off. Mine just falls off and the wheel's just running and random stuff comes out. So I I gotta pick on you for this because we talked about it. When I first met you, I thought, man, you're way young. You're 17 years younger than me. You're super intelligent, and I knew you had a big rock on your finger, and I was like, okay, so she's married. So somewhere out there, there is an awesome dude that was able to win you over. There was some
Yes.
guy, and props to Mr. Bond. I mean, like like that story, the stories that we were talking about, 7 years in the wild,
Yeah.
being single, guys showing up in sweatpants for a date,
Yeah. If they show up at all.
right? Showed up drunk. One
Yeah.
showed up
Showed
drunk,
up. Well, one showed up hammered. A lot
hammered.
showed
A
up
lot showed up drunk, huh?
drunk. Yeah.
Do you think they needed a drink or two to get around you? I mean, do you
Yeah.
think you were
I don't know.
did you ever see The Ugly Truth where she shows up for that date and just
No.
it's one of my favorite movies, but she kinda just shows up and sabotage and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna need a whiskey and soda," like he knows about midway through it. But I mean, you were picky.
Mm-hmm.
You were demanding.
Yes. Well,
And
I was lonely, but I was happy, right? I had
Mhm.
great friends. I had a great business. I had a great community. I'm not going to marry someone just to marry someone.
You wanted somebody
Um,
that you wanted beside you.
yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I try to explain to people. It's not whether you want someone beside you, you want the person that you want beside
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And what's the song? I think there's a song he says, "You don't marry the one you can live with, you marry the one you can't live without,"
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. So he shows up first date,
Yeah.
and he had his deaf blind dog with him.
Yes. He had his deafblind dog. So we went to Mutt's.
Uh-huh.
And it's like a Saturday in late April. It's gorgeous outside. So Mutt's is packed, so
Mhm.
busy. And he is there before me, right? So he's on time, early even, which is great.
Mhm.
There before me. He's well dressed, no sweatpants. So my minimum back when I was dating was like I expected jeans and a t-shirt. Mind you, men could not pass that bar. They couldn't pass the jeans and a t-shirt dress bar. This
Okay.
man shows up in chinos and a button down.
Okay.
But then he is so awkward, and he even admits it because he says he was nervous, but he had his since passed away, but his dog Stan was there, and
And
so he's like
Stan's hanging on, right?
Stan's hanging on,
Stan
and
is like on a leash.
no,
with-
not on
not
a
on a
leash
leash.
because it's
just-
a dog park,
Oh, yeah,
so
it's
they're
Mutt's.
all
Sorry.
wandering around. So Stan's there. Kevin's like, okay, this is my dog. He's deaf and blind. I'm gonna go get us some drinks. Does a margarita sound good? Okay, bye. And
Now you got this deaf
Yeah.
blind dog who has not even sniffed you yet, doesn't know
No.
anything. So he's just whatever he's doing.
Just ambling, wandering around,
One
and
point in
I'm
time you
sitting
lost
there.
him.
And then I'm like looking around and I couldn't find him. And he was like behind a tree stump right behind me. But I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened to this dog? Did
Lost
he
the
get
dog.
eaten by a German Shepherd or something? And then Kevin eventually comes back with the drinks, and
Right.
it gets better from there. But
But it wasn't great. I
It-
mean,
it
the
didn't
first
start-
date, you said the first date was good. Not
it was good. It got better. We'd both had a couple drinks and loosened up, and then it did get a little bit better. So he lived at Clear Fork at the time. Somehow he talked me into going back to his apartment on the first date.
oh
'Cause
wow.
it's not like that. Not
Oh
like that.
wow. I'm not judging. Go girl. I'm not judging at all.
No, so we were hanging out at Mutt's and we'd done some other stuff, and his friend was opening a new retail shop in Clear Fork, but the grand opening wasn't until like 4. So it was like, well, we're not just gonna keep like walking around and drinking more.
Yeah, you took
So
Stan home.
we took
and-
Stan home and went
So
to his
did-
apartment, and then we're sitting on the couch. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I kind of like this guy. He's sweet. He likes dogs. He dresses well. He actually shows up. So we're sitting on his couch watching TV, and then I'm like leaning into him, trying to get him to like put his arm around me, and he
Mhm.
just sits there stiff as a board,
Oh, my
doesn't do anything. And
Awkward.
I'm like, hey, like,
Right.
giving him all the cues, and he just sits there stiff as a board.
First dates are awkward though. It is. I mean, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
As a guy, you want to show interest. I
Mhm.
remember them. I want to show you that I'm interested, but I also don't want to just mug you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just turn. You don't know what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, how you're supposed to do it. So it's always awkward. So y'all left there, went to the,
We went to the grand opening. Oh,
and then
I
you
didn't.
saw him. I'm
Well,
sorry.
so there's another story that I didn't tell you at the grand opening. Now it's funny, but we met a guy there and we're talking to him, and he asked us how long we'd been married. You shouldn't have been taking a drink at that
Oh
point.
yeah,
but
I almost
yeah,
spit that through my.
he's how
First
long have
date,
you been
bud.
married? And we're like, well, this is our first date.
Yeah, he won't even put
Um,
his arm around me on the couch. That's how long we've been married. We've been married so long he won't even touch me on the couch, right?
Yeah.
And so you made it through first, and then you said you saw him, like you started seeing him almost every day after that, right?
Yeah. So since then, that was April 2021. There's been like 8 days where we haven't seen each other.
Oh,
And
wow.
they've been like, I was on a family vacation in the Pacific Northwest that was already planned.
Right.
So we were just pretty much like inseparable. So I almost didn't go on that date because I wasn't feeling great and I had a cold, and I ended up giving him that cold. And
Mhm.
so it was like, even though he was sick, I stopped by and I brought up some homemade chicken soup,
Mhm.
and
So there was a little bit of kissy face on that first date. You gave him the cold. Yeah, you're not gonna fool me. There's a little bit of kissy face on that one. And you met him through like a dating app,
Yeah,
right?
through Bumble.
Bumble.
Yeah, and we joke. So his name's Bond. He was in military intelligence.
Mhm.
And then I call him a spy because in his pictures, he popped up a couple times actually, and I'd swipe no on him multiple
Mhm.
times
Mhm.
because he looked like a bunch of different people. And people don't believe me. They're like, "Oh
Oh,
yeah,
he's a chameleon. He is
no,
James
but he
Bond. He
really
can,
is a chameleon.
yeah, that dun,
Looks like
dun,
a
dun,
completely
dun,
different
rips the
person
mask off.
in his photos.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like wildly different people.
Mhm.
It's crazy. So,
I'm just gonna make up stories about y'all whenever I introduce you to people. I'm gonna be like, "Oh, and this is her husband, Bond." I don't know why he was wearing a wetsuit over all this stuff he's wearing now whenever
but
he
I mean,
showed
also
up.
he's been a banker, he's been a journalist, he does recruiting now. He's
He's
worked
a
at
spy.
Best Buy. He's a spy.
He
He's
is
a
a spy.
spy.
He is a spy.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
know. We
He
know.
wakes up in the middle of the night. And,
That's why
he's
there's
on
that.
his computer. I
That's
don't
why he
know.
had the blind deaf dog. That dog couldn't tell no secrets, right? He couldn't hear no thing. He couldn't tell any of that stuff. Stan was not allowed to divulge anything, right?
No,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Now y'all have dogs now.
We just have my dog.
What is it?
So Tank is 90 pounds. He's
That's
a
right.
big old baby. So that was part of where I was
He's a
picked.
mutt, right? He's mixed
He's
with a
a
lot of
mutt.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a sweet little rescue mutt. Wasn't when I got him. He was the devil dog when I got him.
Mhm.
He was returned multiple times because he was so poorly behaved.
Mhm.
And then now people come over. They're like, "He's so sweet. Where'd you find such a good dog?" I'm like, "I didn't find him like that."
Right, right. Somebody hit him with a newspaper before I got him. They were the ones that
It was a
they took.
long battle to
I
get him
think what it
here.
was is he got to you and he realized it was sanctuary. He was Quasimodo and he's like, sanctuary.
No,
And
he
then
just found someone more bullheaded than him.
right, right. And that's it. Hey, guys always want a friend that's dumber than them. That's why we love dogs so much. Because it's a lot of times it's hard to find a friend dumber than you. And you're like, hey, two birds with a feather. Talking to you, Keith. I'm sending that out there to you. My best friend, I lost him a few years back, and you talk about a knucklehead, like the two of us together, and I mean he was a big dumb animal,
Mhm.
and I'd go 3 days without talking to him, then I'd start missing. All right, I gotta call him and see what he's up to, kind of thing. So I get it, but yeah, I have a dog named Marie Laveau. She's a
Mhm.
little demon witch, and got her whenever my uncle an uncle had passed away, and she's loves me to death, but oh my god, that dog, I don't know, it's a love hate relationship. It's hard to love someone that pisses on the floor. It's hard, but she's little and she don't like the doggy door. It bothers her,
Mhm.
and teaching an old dog new tricks, kind of thing, right? So, worst date ever. Which one was it?
Worst date ever. Getting stood up sucked a lot, but the worst one was it was the first date that I went on after the pandemic.
Hmm.
And so usually I have a formula for dates. I like
Hmm.
formulas. This is how it works. So
I'm getting that vibe from you.
I have processes and procedures. I've got
Hmm.
formulas, but a lot of my
Checklist.
friends. So this is, if you're single out there, you understand this.
Yes,
When you have a first date, you do not go to dinner. Don't do it. It's a
because
terrible
you're
idea.
stuck.
You're stuck. You go for a drink.
Hmm.
If it's good, you can go to dinner together. That's
Mhm.
wonderful. If it's bad, you are in and out in under an hour.
Hmm.
And I've been on dates where
Maybe less.
it was 45 minutes. It was the guy who showed up in sweatpants, and
It was 45 minutes too long.
it was 45 minutes too long. He didn't even buy my coffee. It was a
Really?
coffee date. And then he proceeded to tell me how like depressed he was and didn't know what to do with his life, which is fine, but not on a first date.
Right.
But the worst date was I thought we were going to Blue Sushi for happy hour. We weren't. We were going for dinner.
Mm.
So he's one of the ones. He showed up several drinks in
Mhm.
after I guess he went with his buddies and whatever, showed up several drinks in. We're at Blue Sushi, and he was in finance. And so
Mhm.
my first job out of college, I did sales. I was licensed. I did the whole finance thing. I was kind of like a financial advisor, but I know my stuff.
Mhm.
So then he proceeds to mansplain to me the whole day that stocks are for growth and bonds are for income. And so my job, I sold high yield bonds,
Right.
which are very risky bonds. So they're for growth. They're going to operate much more like a stock.
Right.
So I talked to him and I'm trying to explain, like, okay, yeah, but that's not what I did. So I sold bonds, but I sold these high yield bonds. These high yield bonds are actually highly correlated to the stock market, and they actually have a negative correlation to the interest rate. He's like, no, stocks are for growth, bonds are for income. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
This is the worst sushi
And
ever.
like
I'm
I
out.
I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave so bad. I'm just not that mean.
You
But
never left out on one? You never had one that you're just like, I'm out?
no, I went and hid in the bathroom on that blue sushi date.
Mhm.
Called my friend. I'm like, I can't. But the restaurant was closing. He was oblivious to everything. The waiters could all tell. Like I was getting those looks, and
Mhm.
because I'm sure they see it, and they just knew because I'm just sitting there and I'm like just done with it.
Mhm.
And I went and hid in the bathroom just to not talk to this man.
Oh my God.
End up coming back, and they're like closing, and he's ordering more sushi rolls, and I'm like trying to get out of there, and then the wait staff they're also trying to get out of
Yeah,
there.
we're leaving,
We're
dude.
leaving,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
ordering more drinks and ordering more sake, and I'm just
Oh my
like,
God.
oh gosh, I didn't go on a date for like a year, and then this is what it is.
It was so bad,
It was
right?
so
It was
bad.
so bad.
Yeah.
I love it. It's good. The bad ones give you the good dates.
Yeah.
Right. The worst one ever for me was a friend set me up with a chick. And at that time, I mean, I was good looking buff. I was like,
Mhm.
like a 7 or an 8. I was in the military, so we had to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Dark hair, still had my bloom, still had a little bit of life left to me, and this girl is just a 10. She's sitting across the table from me, and I'm like, there's no way this girl wants to be on a date with me. Why am I on a date with this girl? Like, there's no way. Something's wrong. I'm like, she's either like fresh out of prison or she murdered someone or something. I'm like, and midway through the date, she just yells, "Oh my God, it's the repo man," and runs out. I remembered it was, she was really good looking and they had showed me pictures and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I'll go on a date with her. But she wanted to go to Red Lobster of all the
Mhm.
place. I'm like, that's not really like a high class place. It's like, I mean, are you really into Shrimp Fest or
Yeah.
something? And she got there and she's like, I hate that I brought you to Red Lobster. She goes, but I've just been craving the Cheddar Bay biscuit. She goes, I don't
Mhm.
eat a lot of carbs. So tonight's my cheat night. And I wanted to do it. I thought maybe, it'd be okay to take a guy to this because guys will eat anything whenever
Yeah.
it comes to restaurants. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. And she goes out and she was telling me all this stuff that I mean, like I didn't catch on to it. She said she was a hairdresser and she made good money and she did makeup and hair for people. And I bought it. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
I don't know how much that stuff cost, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that you're probably really good at it because every woman I know is very monogamous with the person who does their hair.
Mhm.
They will lie to their husbands, but they won't lie to the lady that does their hair
Yeah.
because they don't want her to turn them away. And midway through it, she's getting her car repoed, and I had to drive her home. And I remember I had the old flip phone, and it still had a
Mhm.
video recording, and I was recording it. Like I told my buddy, I was like, "Dude, this chick just got her car repoed." Kind of find out she was like a stripper, and she wanted to get out of that lifestyle. And so she was like, maybe if I can find a sugar daddy that'll take care of me while I cross over into the more legitimate line of work because I'm going to make less money. And I was like, dude, what do you think of me to my friends? Not her. I'm like, I understand what she was trying to do, but I was to my friends, what were you thinking? Like, what about me says that I wanted to take on that kind of a project? Women take men on as projects. Men take on like a car as a project.
I don't know. I have a lot of friends who've dated strippers, and they think, one, that she's never gonna cheat on them, and two, that they can fix her and
They
turn her
can
around.
fix her.
Yeah, so that's like the
Oh,
men's
man.
equivalent, and they like date strippers, and then she always cheats, and they're always shocked, and then they're like, "No, I
It's
can."
not like Pretty Woman where she just rides away with obviously Pretty Woman is totally false because if prostitutes look like Julia Roberts, there would be no married people on this planet, right? But yeah, I mean, like they think they're gonna change her, huh? I have friends who
Yeah,
are that way with women. I can fix this. She's gonna get better.
yeah.
And I'm like, dude, she has a cocaine habit. I don't know if you realize that when she gets better, she's not going to be that thin whenever she gets better. She's going to get off the cocaine and the metabolism's going to slow down. Because trust me, I'm amazed she's still alive and hadn't had a heart attack
Yeah.
yet. So, guys, guys that do take projects on, huh?
They take projects on, and then they are always shocked when they end up being crazy, and, girls, I don't know why guys can't see it, but it's
Y'all
just
can
like
spot a
we're
crazy
like,
girl.
"No, she's crazy. No, no, she's not crazy.
Oh
Yes,
no,
she's crazy.
y'all
She's
can spot
crazy."
a crazy girl from across the room.
Mhm.
Y'all can look over and go, no, 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 absolutely not. And we're like, what is it? And you're like, I don't know, but I know she's crazy.
Yeah.
And then every now and then, like one of my friends will be like, That's the sweetest girl ever. And then you like look and you're like, she actually is pretty sweet. And within 6 weeks, that girl's engaged. Goes from dating no one to 6 weeks later, totally engaged. Hey, it's been fun.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I will have you back anytime you want to come on my
you.
show. It has been a blast. Johnson County, we will see you next week.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, JoCo Community Radio.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain